Many thanks for joining us again on the newsroom. Bayelsa State has recorded its first COVID-19 related death. The victim, who was a military officer in his 40s, died while receiving treatment at Niger Delta University Teaching Hospital, Okolobiri. Confirming the development, the state COVID-19 task force at a press conference in Yanogwa, the state capital, said the victim was in stable condition, but his health suddenly dropped and he developed severe respiratory distress. The state, however, assured that all other COVID-19 patients are in stable condition. According to the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, Bayelsa currently has 12 confirmed COVID-19 cases. And after rejecting the report from the NCDC confirming 2 COVID-19 cases in the state, Governor Yahaya Bello of Kogi State has ordered a lockdown in Kababunu local government area of the state. Chief Imam of Kaba and one of his aides tested positive for the disease last week, but the state government denied the result, accusing the NCDC of perpetrating fraud. But in a statewide broadcast on Monday, Governor Bello directed health workers who attended to the index case to self-isolate. He also restricted movement in Kababunu for the next 14 days. As Nigeria prepares to end the second phase of the ease lockdown, the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 has announced that states will now be responsible for the implementation of the next phase that will be announced by the presidency. Chairman of the task force, Boss Mustafa, announced this after submitting a recommendation on the gradual easing of the lockdown to President Muhammadu Buhari. He, however, said this will be done under national supervision and coordination. Mustafa also expressed concern about a spike in community transmission, saying this might lead to an increase in the number of cases across the country.
You know, we were in the first phase. We had an extension of 2 weeks for the second phase. For the first phase. The next phase should be the second phase. And along with that, we came in with a lot of recommendations, which we expect Mr. President to consider. But I can assure you about one thing, that the ownership of the next phase will be the responsibility of the states under national supervision and coordination, because we have gone into community transmission. And where are the communities? The communities are in the states. So the ownership of the next phase will be that of the states, the local government, the traditional institutions, the religious leaders at the different levels of our communities, because that is where the problem is. Like we've kept saying, 20 local governments out of 774 account for 60% of confirmed cases in Nigeria today. So where are these 20 local governments? They are in communities. It means that we have reached the epitome of community transmission, and we must get the communities involved. There's a likelihood of the increase in transmission in cases, but that should not be a source of despair. Like we've always said, the experts will always tell you that over 80% will contact coronavirus and would not even notice that they have that. And that accounts for what is happening at the isolation centers when you see young men saying that I'm not sick, why am I being kept here? They are asymptomatic. They don't show symptoms, and they will wear it out, or spit it out. There is a 20% that is critical by virtue of certain factors, indices, age, underlying health conditions, and vulnerability. That's the percentage we are trying to protect. And if we don't do something in terms of management, in terms of putting in non-pharmaceutical interventions and guidelines to protect that 20%, about 5% of them can fall critically ill and eventually become fatalities in the numbers. And that's what we are trying to avoid. So everything that we are in place in is to ensure that we protect this vulnerable 20%.
Hotel owners in Nigeria have given the federal government conditions for the use of their facilities as isolation centers in the treatment of COVID-19 patients. The hoteliers under the Hospitality and Tourism Management Association of Nigeria said they were ready to support the government in this time of need, though the government must meet their conditions. Haftan President Samson Aturu, in a statement, said if a hotel is going to be used as an isolation center, the facility must be decontaminated after a COVID-19 patient is discharged. He also adds that the federal government must be ready to pay the bills as at when due, saying, quote, "We don't want a situation whereby we would allow hotels to be used as isolation centers and we would have to be begging the government to pay the bills afterwards." Nigeria has evacuated 268 of its nationals stranded in China as a result of the novel coronavirus pandemic. The returnees arrived at Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, on Saturday. Minister of Foreign Affairs Geoffrey Onyema, who confirmed their return, said all the returnees will be put on the 14-day quarantine stipulated by the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and CDC. The repatriation comes days after Onyema announced that the ministry is developing new guidelines for citizens seeking to be evacuated. Onyema also announced that 2 flights from the United Kingdom will be coming into Nigeria to evacuate British citizens in the country. South Africa has announced further easing of its COVID-19 lockdown, letting people out for work, worship or shopping, and allowing mines and factories to run at full capacity. The country has, however, pushed back Monday's reopening of schools by a week, saying that a substantial number of schools are not ready to welcome back pupils. The Department of Basic Education, in a statement, said the decision followed 3 reports by the industry players that raised concerns about the state of readiness. South Africa has over 32,600 confirmed COVID-19 cases, with close to 700 deaths and 16,809 recoveries. We'll take a break here to bring you more stories. Don't go away.
In the last 3 years, we have built a multi-purpose center, which is the envy of all in our constituency. And I can tell you that the people who are living there are already enjoying it.
Guy, do you think what this man just said is true? See, I seriously doubt. I'm sure it's one of those their silly lies.
Wait, do you know there's a way to find out if these things he's saying is true or not? This is the Construct app. It gives people like us a sure way to track implementation of constituency projects. It gives valid and verified information on location of projects, amounts allocated, amount funded, the level of job done, and even the profiles of concerned legislators. You and I can post directly on this app.
Are you serious?
This is the Go-To app if you want to know how our Commonwealth is being expanded by the government.
Wow. Let's even see if what this man said is true. Show me.
The Construct app is developed by Other People Nigeria with support from USAID and is available on both Google Play Store and Apple Store.
And it's true.
Of course, I told you.
James, I don't know. You know the answer your call. This. Hello.
Is this Mr. Peter? I'm calling from the NCDC. Your friend, Mr. James Okripocha, was brought in this morning and tested positive for the coronavirus. He mentioned that he had been in close contact with you.
God forbid bad thing.
Sir, I am not saying that you have the virus, but you have spent some time with him over the past 14 days, and it is better if you self-isolate immediately.
I don't know any James at all. Even only James in the Bible that I know as a good Christian.
Sir, he showed us pictures.
Now, wow. If you have come in contact with someone who has tested positive for the coronavirus, self-isolating is key to protecting those around you. Remember, viruses don't move, people do. Stopping the spread is in your hands.
This message is from the Akinfade Foundation in partnership with the National Orientation Agency with support from MacArthur Foundation.
Let's now look at security matters. The district head of Yantumaki in Damusa local government area of Katsina State, Abu Atuku, has been killed by bandits in a fresh attack on the community. The incident took place at Yantumaki district at about 11:55 p.m. on Sunday. Eyewitnesses say bandits stormed the Yantumaki residence of the 60-year-old district head, shot him and his security guard, one Gambo Chakao. They were taken to Danmusa General Hospital, where the district head was confirmed dead, while the security guard was still responding to treatment by Monday morning. Spokesman for the Katsina State Police Command, Gambo Isa, confirmed the incident on Monday, saying the command has launched a manhunt for the perpetrators. Joseph Massin, chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria in Nasarawa State, has regained his freedom after being abducted by unknown gunmen. Sam Joseph, son of the clergyman, confirmed his release, saying his father was released on Saturday night. The State Commissioner for Police, Bola Longe, who also confirmed the release of the CAN chairman, said police investigations are still in progress and 4 suspects have been arrested in connection with the abduction. He said the suspect will be charged to court as soon as investigation is concluded. And to business matters now, the Petroleum Product Pricing Regulatory Agency, PPPRA, has reduced the retail pump price of petrol to 121 naira 50 kobo per litre from the present 123 naira 50 kobo. The regulatory agency announced a new retail price band to marketers in a May 31 circular released on Monday. According to the memo, marketers are expected to sell petrol between a price band of 121 naira 50 kobo and 123 naira 50 kobo to retailers. At least 35 people were killed after militants attacked a cattle market and a humanitarian convoy over the weekend in Burkina Faso. The government said in a statement that 25 people were killed and more wounded in the attack on the markets in the country's eastern region. 5 civilians and 5 military police in a humanitarian convoy delivering supplies were also killed in a separate attack in the north of the country. No group has claimed responsibility for the attacks. In sports, Manchester United have confirmed an extension of Odion Ighalo's loan deal, which will see him stay at the club until January 2021. The striker arrived from Chinese Super League club Shanghai Shenhua on a temporary loan deal in January to provide Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with cover for the injured Marcus Rashford. United have already had to pay Shenhua a loan fee for the initial 5-month spell, and it is understood that the Chinese side will receive another payment from the Red Devils for the extended period. While there have been no discussions to keep Ighalo at the club on a permanent basis, Solskjaer has been keen from the start to have him in his squad for the end of the season. And that's it from the newsroom. Many thanks for joining us. Bye for now.